"You're handsome, you know that?" Wild opener, right? But that's exactly what Maya said. Just tossed it out there like she was commenting on the weather, not staring me down in the middle of rewiring her bedroom light. And let me tell you, that's not the kind of thing a guy like me hears every day, especially while holding a flathead and balancing on a creaky old step stool. I didn't know whether to laugh, freeze, or just hand her the invoice and run. So, there I was, Malik Carter, electrician by trade, sometimes philosopher by accident, standing in this mansion with wires older than my work boots, trying to play it cool. Maya leaned in the doorway, blue dress, bare feet, arms crossed. Something about her was sharp, but not in the watch your back way. More like she was seeing right through all my layers, reading every reason I'd learned to keep people at arm's length. Thanks, I stammered, feeling my voice land somewhere between cautious and caught off guard. See, I've had clients flirt. I've had people try to tip me with leftover birthday cake, but nobody's ever looked me in the eye and just said it. Like a statement. No games. The light flickered on, humming steady, and I told her, shouldn't see any more flickering. Old wiring, loose ground. I fixed it up. She just nodded, not moving, not saying much, like she was waiting to see what else I'd fix if she stood there long enough. You always talk like that, like you're explaining the rules to a kid, she said, not judging, just curious. And I shrugged. Clarity matters, especially in someone else's home. She smiled, tiny, but it felt like she meant it. Then she surprised me. You got time for lunch? Place down the street, Killer Turkey Club. My treat. Now, I grew up learning you keep things professional. Don't mix work with whatever this was. But something about the way she stood there, just open, made it hard to say no. Still, I said I had another job, half lie, half truth. She just grinned, shook my hand, strong grip, warm, nothing delicate about it. And I packed up my gear, feeling her eyes on my back like maybe I'd left something important behind. Driving away, her name echoed in my head, Maya Williams. I figured I'd never see her again. But halfway through my next job, a rundown ranch with more rot than drywall, I got a text. This is Maya. In case you change your mind. I didn't answer, not right away. Instead, I went home, scrolled past her message a dozen times, and told myself it was just lunch. Nothing more. 3 days passed, my thumb hovering over her name. What was I supposed to say? I'm a guy with rough hands, lives above a barber shop, who's got no business sitting across from someone with art on her walls and a wine fridge more expensive than my truck. Friday, she texted again. Turkey Club's still on the menu. Noon tomorrow, I'll drive. Direct. No question mark. This time, I caved. Okay. Drop a pin. Send it before I could chicken out. Saturday, I showed up outside Bailey's Hardware, dressed like I was going to church, but not trying too hard. She pulled up, same barefoot, new dress, wind in her hair, just light. You always show up barefoot. I joked, and she laughed, only when it matters. She drove us out past the city, into the trees, not a word, no music, just the air and the quiet. Finally, we landed in this clearing by the river, nobody around but us and the water. We sat, chewed turkey sandwiches, let the world slow down. I don't remember who spoke first, but eventually she asked, "You think I'm weird?" And I said, "No, you're just unexpected." That seemed to settle something. She told me stories about coming here as a kid, her grandmother washing away the world's weight with the sound of the river. She leaned back, closed her eyes, and asked, "You know what I like about you?" I shrugged. "My cheap labor?" She laughed, but then said, "You don't care about the house or the car. You're not impressed." I told her, I was taught not to stare at what doesn't belong to me. She looked at me, eyes shining. And what if it does? That question lingered. We stayed under that tree until the shadows got long, talking about dumb stuff, bad customers, childhood mishaps. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was performing, just existing. When I finally drove home, she texted, "Next time you bring the sandwiches." And I actually smiled. Like, real smile. The next week crawled by. I kept busy. Outlets, breakers, the whole nine. But every quiet moment, her voice replayed in my head. "You don't seem impressed." Friday rolled around. She messaged again. "Dinner at my place? Should I bring wine or tools? Just yourself, and maybe skip the boots." I showed up anyway, boots and all, carrying cornbread from the store, trying not to look nervous. She opened the door, no makeup, cardigan, barefoot. The house smelled like rosemary and something roasting. We ate salmon at her kitchen island, candles burning, real music playing low. She asked about my worst date. I told her about getting stuck under a crawl space in July. She nearly choked laughing. Then she said, "You have a quiet way of being loud." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded. Later, in her living room, she curled up on the couch and told me, "You don't need to be polite here." I realized then, the air between us had changed. Wasn't just space anymore, it was gravity. She asked, "You ever wonder what people say about us?" I admitted, "Probably nothing good." She looked out the window. "My world's loud. Expectations, impressions. You don't just walk through it." I told her, "I don't ask for permission." She smiled. "That's what scares them." "What about you?" I asked. "I don't scare easy," she said. "No kiss, no big romantic moment. Just gratitude, cornbread, and a promise of sandwiches." But then, at a diner the next morning, I overheard two guys say, "Isn't that the guy with the rich lady? He's just her project." I let it slide, but it stung. Monday, I lost a client. Something about public image, said they saw me online with Maya. My boss wasn't mad, but it was a warning. Let's keep it that way. A few days later, Maya called, voice soft but strong. "Come over, I've got milkshakes." We sat on her porch, drinking chocolate peanut butter shakes, and I finally admitted what I'd heard, what it felt like. She said, "You fit my world, Malik. That's all I care about." But I told her, I need space from the noise. She hurt, but she understood. I thought space would help, but all it did was make me miss her. A week later, I showed up at her door, rain pouring, and she let me in. We talked about our past, her painting for therapy, me soldering wires because college seemed too far. She showed me a folder of hateful messages, comments, even stalker photos. "Since the park," she said, "someone recognized you." It spiraled. I told her, "I thought I could protect us with space, but there's no safe distance from this." She said, "But there's strength in being close." That night, we promised not to hide anymore. We started building something, her with paint, me with tools. Maya designed a logo for Carter Works, my new company. We handed out flyers, hosted community fix-it days, took apprentices. But gossip didn't stop. One job, a client's wife said, "You're Maya Williams's project, aren't you? Do you think this little stunt will last?" I just fixed her wiring, left the invoice, kept my dignity. One morning, Maya handed me a painting, black and white, stitched with gold. My ex said I wasn't relatable enough. I almost destroyed this. She told me, "Broken isn't disposable." I told her, "You're not my savior. I don't need one. I want a partner." She smiled, and for the first time, we both felt seen. But nothing's easy. The city's old money still drew lines. Maya's ex, Grayson, confronted me at a job, called me a rebellion, temporary. But I told him, I build things that last. He tried to shake me, but all it did was harden my resolve. Maya wrote an open letter, "When we love outside the lines," and it spread like wildfire. We lost clients, but gained more. The press called us a construction of equity, not rebellion, but building. Support poured in, and for the first time, the city talked about us as builders, not a scandal. Still, the smear jobs came. One blog called me a social climber, Maya a woke attention seeker. For a moment, it got to me. But then NPR invited us for an interview. I told them, I'm not interested in headlines. I just want to build things that don't fall apart in storms. Maya said, "We build with what we have." He brings his hands, I bring the room. That shifted everything. The hate lost power. Our story grew roots. Months passed. Autumn rolled in, quiet and gold. Carter Works became known not for me or Maya, but for honest work. One afternoon, we stood in our new place, sunlight pouring across the floor, Maya tracing a mural on the wall, barefoot, as always. "What are you drawing?" I asked. She smiled, hands. "Because that's where it starts." 2 weeks later, we opened our studio. Tools on one side, art on the other, kids from the block coming to learn every Saturday. Maya took the mic, said, "We didn't fall into this. We built it, plank by plank, hinge by hinge. And when the world asked us to choose, we chose each other." When it was my turn, I said, "I used to think the only thing I'd own was a toolbox. Turns out, I get to own hope." That night, we stood on our porch, wrapped in one blanket. watching the wind pull gold from the trees, and I finally believed it. What we built was ours, earned, not given. In a city that drew lines, we built bridges. We didn't just survive, we reclaimed the story. And now it's your turn. Where do you stand, lines or bridges? What would you choose? Tell me in the comments, because maybe that's how all real change starts.